saying. If you guys are okay with that, I'll just kind of go in the order that you sort of joined on my screen here. I'll go around and I'll queue you up for questions, keep things rolling along. And if you want to follow up with anything later on, just maybe shoot me a quick note in the chat and I'll jump back to you once we get through everybody. Coach, we're going to start today with questions from Jim Cotter. Jim, whenever you're ready. And then Marley, I'll have you next. Nico, you'll follow Marley.
Hey, Mike, Jim Cotter, Orange and Blue News. I know this is just old hat to you guys with being in the NCAA National Golf Tournament, but it's special this year for Michael Fiegels since he's from Scottsdale and you're playing in Scottsdale. So just talk a little bit about that and what that means for Michael and your team in general.
Oh, it's exciting for Michael to get back and kind of maybe end things in his amateur career where he started it. I think he'll probably turn professional after the NCAAs. He's doing really well on that PGA Tour University program they started this year. And those rankings will come out updated, I think, tomorrow maybe. And those will reflect his regional finish, which you should see a big jump. So I think he's got a good chance of really having some exemptions out of that opportunity. So, but back to Scottsdale and, he knows golf out there. He's played a lot of golf, obviously, out there. He's helped us with some stuff talking about golf in June in Scottsdale and Phoenix. I've never played golf in June in Phoenix before. It's hot, it's dry. He's helped us with that. I think the practice round he'll have a lot to say about it. I know he's played that golf course quite a bit, not under the conditions we're going to play it under. I don't believe, but I know he's played there quite a bit. So, selfishly, he's going to help our team, but for him, I think it's awesome to get back and, kind of wind things down with his parents of his amateur career. And I'm sure he'll have some friends and some family out there supporting him. And it's a perfect situation for Michael, really.
I just had one more quick one for you, Mike. I know you said that, the course is probably going to play differently than in June than it is in other times. And Michael may not be used to that, but can he still help you guys with some, aspects of the course, like, where the tricky bunkers and things like that are?
Sure. Yeah. He's played out there in June a lot and he knows it gets dry and gets fast and firm, but this golf course will not be set up the way he played it as a junior golfer in high school. It will not be set up like that. It's going to be more difficult. They've extended some tees, but it gets firm and fast and his greens will be really fast, but he will help us. He knows this golf course. We all saw it a month and a half ago. We stopped out there on the way out to play Arizona's tournament. We went to this golf course and all the teams, I think in the country, almost all the top teams went out there and got a look at it. So we have some kind of feel, but not really that in depth. We'll learn more in the practice round, but Michael will be very involved in the practice round.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Next, we'll go to Marley, followed by Nico, and Jeremy. I'll have you following up, Nico.
Hey, Coach, with, so many consecutive appearances in the NCAA tournament for you guys, how does that affect confidence or maybe just, the nerves that you guys would have heading in to a weekend like this one, given that you've been there so many times as opposed to, other teams that might deal with, the first time nerves of that?
Right. Well, we're proud of that. I mean, it's something we're very proud of because this program's about consistency and stability, and to do that many years is kind of that's what we project. That's what we want to have happen. But with that comes some responsibility, I guess. And with that comes some maybe tension. So for us to get there again in the manner we did, very comfortably, played very strong, very solid, stayed in the present tense, didn't worry about that stuff. Getting there was great. Now we have something to prove to ourselves because the last NCAA finals we played in 2 years ago, because last year there wasn't one, the Blessings was our worst finish since I've been here. And we didn't play well. We didn't come out of the gates very well. So we've been talking a little bit about that. And those talks will be intensified these next couple of days about being on point and kind of exercising that tournament out of our memory and out of our history and come out ready to play this time because the guys were all part of that. I think maybe 3 of them played that week and, or 4 of them, I think maybe 4 of them played. So, it's something that we want to improve on. And then we know that if we come out a little flat or a little bit, hey, we're here again, this is old hat for us, we may not get off the start we want. So we need to really act like it's our first. I mean, mentally maybe a little bit, but be comfortable enough to know that you have to get off to a good start. It's really a 3-day tournament, and then it turns into a 4-day tournament, and then it turns into a match play tournament. So you got to take it in pieces, but we got to be ready to go. So I think the experience will help that from that standpoint, but we got to be sure that we don't fall into the same trap we did 2 years ago.
And if I could ask you quickly about Nick Hardy, you know, he's been making a little bit of noise on the Korn Ferry Tour. I mean, what do guys like him, you know, that are having success in the pros mean for your program as well?
It means a lot. When I first got here 21 years ago, kind of formulated a few points that you have to build a program, to have this consistency that we're talking about, making all these championships in a row. There's a bunch of things that go into building a program that you want to have it. And one of it is a tour presence. When I got here, obviously a good friend of mine, Steve Stricker and DA Points were on the PGA Tour, but we needed to build our own. And over the years, we've done that. We've had 5 or 6 guys have full exempt PGA Tour status, and Nick's the next one that looks like it's going to happen. You know, if it wasn't for COVID, he'd be out there right now. But because COVID, they wrapped around the money list. So he's finished top 5 yesterday, I believe, which keeps making him more money. And, you know, for him to be out there and represent Illinois like he does, he loves this place. He keeps in touch with us. It's a big deal to have that. And that's part of having a program. A good collegiate program is having a tour presence, and that'll continue it for us.
All right. Thank you so much. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Marley. Next, we'll go to Nico, followed by Jeremy, and then Rory, I have you following up Jeremy.
Mike, Adrian and Michael led you guys at the Big Ten Championships and at the regional, but wanted to ask about Jerry's performance as well, getting in the top 10 in that regional, down the stretch, 3 straight birdies. What have you kind of seen from him, you know, really playing in that stage for the first time, with his first season being that COVID-shortened year that you guys had?
Yeah, it was great to see. I mean, Jerry's getting better all the time, and some of his scores maybe in the spring wouldn't have shown that. But in this program, historically, you get better without even knowing it in a lot of ways. It just it's gradual, and you start laying foundation after foundation, and or floor after floor. And you know, he came into our program a top 50 amateur ranked in the world, not just junior player, but amateur ranked. He had some really good finishes in Europe. Very highly recruited young player. But when you come over, there's an adjustment you have to take. We talked about that before. There's an adjustment period coming from another country, coming to college, the whole way things work. You're starting to see him improve. You're starting to see it start to solidify and use his experience. And that was a hard golf course last week. That's one of the hardest golf courses in college golf. And he went out and played from strength, and he's hitting it better. He's becoming stronger, more mentally strong too. And he's just getting better. So it's a matter of time when Jerry starts becoming a leader of this program. And so he's really only a freshman. This is his first full season he's played. We plan on that. We plan on him getting better. So last week didn't surprise me. It was nice to see it, but the way he finished off the event, he came out the last round and struggled early, kind of recovered and flipped it around and played as good as anybody the last 14, 15 holes. So we're excited about him. And that's why we recruited him. That's why he's here. He's a great person. He's a good player. And we're going to need more of that, obviously, this week and in the future too.
How much of that performance from some of those younger players kind of comes from just the tone that the upperclassmen are setting, or is that kind of conversations that you have with them? Because, you know, you've obviously had all this success over the last couple decades, but, you know, is it a lot of that upperclassmen just kind of leading by example and, you know, going out and doing everything in practice and on the course?
Yeah, I don't think you have a program that has success for a period of time in any sport if you don't preach that. You don't preach that freshmen are expected to compete for spots here. Freshmen are expected to play. Now, whether they do or not is irrelevant. The thought is that they're expected to contribute. We recruited them because they're very good players. And then they build that program. You can't have a good program if you only have guys play good as a junior and senior. And that's traditionally what northern or cold weather programs have in warm weather sports, baseball, golf, whatever it is that you play outside, because you can't. It's hard to recruit kids. It's more difficult because of the weather, and it's hard to keep reloading every year. And we've done a decent job of that over the years. And I think the freshmen, when they come on campus, know that through the recruiting process. And then when they get here, they know that we want them to play. We expect them to contribute, and a lot of them have. We've had several Big Ten freshmen of the year. We've had some great young players and multiple All-Americans from their early years to their later ones. I think that's something we preach. That's something that our program wants to. It's just a big part of our program. It's what we expect. So I don't think there's a surprise when they do play well. It's planted in their mind. You know, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait your turn. Come in and compete and relax. And I think that's something that Jerry's starting to see. But everybody improves at different stages. And I've had to check myself as a coach. I've had to step back and maybe not expect so much out of players because everybody develops at different times. And if you press somebody to play as a freshman, but they're just not ready emotionally or physically or mentally yet, it causes more stress. So as a coach, you want to project that expectation, but you have to work with them too, because everybody grows at different paces. And I think Jerry's just now getting ready to hit his stride. I think the summer is going to be very important for Jerry. And the next year is going to be, I expect him to keep going.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Thanks, Nico. We've got Jeremy up next, followed by Rory and Jim Matson. I've got you in the hole.
Hey, Mike, good to see you. Just wondering, like, how did you feel about your team's performance at the regional, especially given you guys started so well, and then you also get the taste of what a top 5 program is like with Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I thought that was a very successful week, Jeremy. I mean, when you shoot 14 under par at that golf course, I mean, I've been there for 3 national finals before, and I know how hard it is. Now, the wind didn't blow the first day, which was something that we haven't seen before, but it's a hard golf course, dude. And to expect to beat Oklahoma State, who's a very good team, I think they're the best ball striking team I've seen maybe in my coaching. I mean, they just hit it top tier, just compress it, hit it long and hard. And that golf course is set up perfect for them. But we've seen them 3 times this year, 4 times. We play with them quite a bit. We know what top 5 teams are like. We've beat some of them. I mean, we've been there playing a competitive schedule. So, but to go there and I was proud of our team because when you go to regionals, you go there to win. You go there to compete for it. You don't go there to qualify. I think if you generally qualify, you find yourself right on that bubble. I learned that from my professional days, to always trying to qualify for the tour, qualify for events. I learned that lesson, and our guys did it really well. They composed themselves. Their body language was like they belonged. They wanted to compete. They went toe to toe with Oklahoma State for a major part of the event. There were 4 or 5 holes the last day that separated us. I had a very positive week. I mean, you shoot 14 under par. The last round we didn't play great, but we still shot one over. I think it was the second lowest score of the day, if I'm not mistaken. So we had what the first or second lowest score every day. I don't really remember the exact thing, but to do that and bring it every day and not have that weak day, which can hurt you at regionals or even this coming week, we got to be on point every day. And that's what I'm most proud about.
And kind of leading into that, Mike, you've been close. You've had 4, semifinals. You've had a runner-up. What does it take to win this, 7 rounds in 6 days kind of tournament?
It takes so much fortitude, mental endurance. I think we've had, we're the number 1 team in the country 2 of those years, I think. And we're a strong mental teams, but there's 6-day championship with 18 every day and 36 one other day. It's a lot of golf in that pressure in that situation, national TV and everything. So you need some strong-minded people. You got to pace yourself. You need some breaks. One thing they do is they seed you in the national championship based on how you played that week, 1 through 8 for match play. One recommendation I always said I think the teams that make the national championship, the match play, they should reseed you based on your national rank. Because a couple of those years we had to play some really top teams early, and they had to play us, and we bumped a couple teams out. And like I said, we've had good matches, we've had bad matches, so it takes a lot of luck based on your seed. Ball bounces different ways. You're playing probably the most inexact game in the world with 20-year-olds, and that's a lot of variables involved. So mental strength, stamina, relaxation, keeping it in the moment, enjoying it is a big deal. We've been pretty good at it. I mean, we haven't won the whole thing, but we've won a lot of matches. I think we're in the top maybe 1 or 2 or 3 in number of matches won, maybe in the history of since they've gone to match play. So we have experience, but you still have to do these other things right. And it's such a. I tell people all the time. I've said this before that, golf is generally a 3 or 4 day event to host to have a champion, and then now you're going to match play, which is and the Ryder Cup's a 3-day event, which is 5 rounds, 3-day event, team event. Now you're going to a 1 18-hole match to decide who's better against one team. That's similar, if you equate that to other sports, that's similar to a third of a game in basketball. That's what is that? Was that 15 minutes, 13, 14-minute game in basketball? A lot of teams can get off to a good start but wouldn't be able to hold it for that long of a traditionally long length of a championship or a competition. So you got to be ready to go off the start. You got to be mentally ready, and you got to get on it early. And if you don't, it's always a hard climb back.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Jeremy. Rory, you're up next. Jim Matson, I've got you after Rory, or excuse me, after Rory. Yep. And then Gabby, you're in the hole.
Good morning, Coach. I have to ask you, I haven't seen this. Which of the two courses do you play there? And do they always use the same course through the tournament and in past years? Is it Raptor or Talon?
It's Raptor. It's the same. It's the same course. I don't know much about it. I was there one day. We ran in, played it, and got out of there. And that's why the practice rounds can be very, very important to us and figure it out. But they played the same one all week. Okay.
And also, I know you take a lot of pride in Illinois and its streak going to the nationals, but does your program take any pride based on what happened at the regionals? You're sort of carrying the banner for the Big Ten this week as well.
Yeah, that's been the case now for this time. I mean, I remember 6 or 7 years ago, I can't remember, maybe it was longer. We had 4 teams in the Big Ten finished in the top 15 in the country. 2 of us made match play. Us and Ohio State made it. That was back on our first match play, maybe when Langley was here. And 2 other teams finished in the top 15. So there's been those years where the Big Ten is deeper. The Big Ten was good this year. Not playing in the fall, I think, hurt some of the teams, maybe in their seeding or their development. But we've been carrying that banner for a while. And that's something we're used to. We take pride in. But again, we take care of our business, and we want to go represent the Big Ten well. But we do that just through consistency, like you said. And I think it's something that I would love the Big Ten to, I think last year there was another team. I think there's been 2 to 3 teams every year make the finals, but making match play, I think us and Michigan and Ohio State have been the only ones that have done that, I think. But a lot of them make the finals, from time to time, 2 or 3 a year. But this year we're the only one, like you said. So we'll carry that responsibility with us, and we'll do well.
Finally, Coach, at regionals, did your team show you something that maybe you hadn't seen out of them yet so far that makes you feel even better about this team heading to Arizona?
We drove it better than we've driven it all spring. So we've made improvements. They individually and as a team collectively, we hit more fairways. I remember in what was it, 18 or 17, the national championship was there. 18, I think. I jokingly say it, but I came home with several ticks on my body. I picked ticks out all week. I was in those weeds looking for balls. Every other hole, balls were going this way. And it looked like this spring we were going that direction too. We were looking for a lot of balls. We were competing very well, but we didn't drive it very straight. Down there, I was hardly ever in the weeds. That's why we played well. We stepped up. We narrowed our focus. We got a hold of our golf swings, our emotions. We drove it straight. And if we continue to do that, if we continue to drive it straight this week, we could be a very dangerous team. We get into match play, and we're driving it straight. Where I'm just telling you, this team is gritty enough, and our short games and our competitiveness is good enough. We can play. But if we start hitting a little crooked again, a little sideways, and start steering it and start hoping it goes in the fairway instead of commanding our space, I'll be nose to nose with some rattlesnakes out there looking for balls. And I don't want to do that.
Thanks, Coach.
I don't want to do that. Yeah.
All right, next we'll go to Jim Matson, and then I've got Gabby and John. You're following Jim.
Hey, Coach. Last summer, Jerry and Adrian went to Tommy's house in Morton and spent some time there. When you talk about teamwork and team brotherhood, are you got a closer team maybe because of stuff like that? I mean, is that an indication of how close this team is and how much you are competing together?
Yeah, I think you're right, Jim. I think COVID has brought us all together, all closer together. This team has not eaten I have not eaten in a restaurant since I can't remember when, but since the season started in January, we have not eaten in a restaurant. We're following strict COVID protocols for our team. And when you do that, you're hanging around each other all day, every day. And then you throw in last summer when Jerry's family extended a hand, and other families would have done the same thing, but it was just Tommy's family extended a hand to Jerry and Adrian to have them come stay because they had to finish up school. That just takes it to a whole nother level of commitment and helping a teammate out and spending time with them. So those 3 spent days together back then. And now you have the entire team spending every day and every night together. I think it just continues to grow. But I will say this program has prided itself over the years of 20 years of having a very tight team. I believe that's a mandate. That's something that's a prerequisite for having great teams in any sport. You have to care about each other, have accountability towards each other, and know that each other's got your back. And that comes with just trusting each other and spending time with each other. And I think COVID has done that for a lot of teams and especially ours. So it's a whole nother level. And I think last summer, the Cools taking Jerry and Adrian in for all that time and bringing me into part of their family, just sent that message in double and triple times.
You talked about using 2 years ago as motivation, and I think like in football and basketball, we understand motivation. Maybe you show game film of a team whipping you or what went wrong. How do you use that as motivation? Maybe just live up to the Illinois standard, or how do you use that as motivation? I don't think you'll show bad shots. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, the coaching staff just slips it in every once in a while, make sure they hear it. It always comes in some conversation will kind of go that way, and we'll remind them, and some kind of conversation will come back again later. We do a lot of indirect messaging, if you will. We're with the kids so much too. I mean, as a head coach, I'm in the vans with them. I'm in the airplane next to them. I'm with them all day long. I eat dinner with them. A lot of sports, the head coach comes in, the team hasn't seen him. He's been doing the CEO business, and he comes in, it's time to get to work. Well, as a golf coach, you need to learn how to handle the team because you're with them so much. And the team has to understand when it's time to work, when it's time to play, when it's time to have fun, when it's time to, whatever. And I'm with them on that. And so as a coach, you're with them so much. After a while, they tend to, if you have meetings all the time, they'll tend to tune you out. So you kind of do indirect messaging, if you will. You just kind of in the spirit of a conversation or a story or somewhere, you always bring things up that you want to get to them, and it seems to stick pretty good that way. So it just kind of comes up in conversation, Jim, and we're a very holistic program. We're very just real, down to earth, not a lot of fabrication, not a lot of it's just a lot of substance and spending time to each other, and you just communicate.
Good luck to you.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Jim. Next, we've got Gabby, and then John, I've got you following up, Gabby, and then Scott Beatty join us. Scott, if you have a question, you'll be after John.
Hey, Coach. Just looking at Michael Fiegels, this will be his last go around for the Illini. I mean, how can you just reflect on his long and pretty successful career now at Illinois with you guys?
He has had a very solid career. Him and Gio decided to come back for their 5th year, which again shows a testament to them, their competitiveness, their love for this place. They wanted to use this year to get better personally, but also to leave the program in a good place, and they've done that. To be in the top 10 all year, top 11. I think we're number 8 or 9 now. That's something to be proud of. He came into a program with 2 All-Americans, 2 players that were top 10 in the world, that he saw and learned from, and kind of get that feeling. And he wanted to his credit, he wanted to have that same effect. And I think he has. You look at his career, it's been very, very consistent. I think his best golf's still ahead of him. I think he can get a lot better than he is. And I think his next step after this is going to be very productive. And I'm very proud of the way he's bought in. I've never had to worry about Michael second guessing us or questioning what we do. Our practices, he understood what we did it for. I think that goes back to the recruiting and also his freshman year of just believing and knowing that we care about him. We're not going to waste his time. We coach from a player's perspective more than probably any program in the country. We're players, and we kind of feel what they want and need, and they appreciate that. And he's always embraced that. And that's what I appreciate as a coach. He's had my back. He competes. Sure, we've had some down times, like every team does. But if you look at the times, he's been here, then ranked in the top 10, top 5, top 25. It's been awful dang consistent. So I think he can be proud of what he's done. And he knows there's one thing this program has not done. There's one thing, it hasn't won the national championship, and I think he wants to do that. Now it's going to take some good play. It's going to take a good mindset and some really strength, but it can be done. And I can't wait to see, because he's a very competitive person. I mean, very competitive, comes from a very competitive family. And this program is right up his alley. And I think he's appreciated that. And we appreciated the reciprocation in that same vein.
Yeah. And he's kind of been a part of one of the teams that finished at the top of the NCAA championships. And then, one of those disappointing years. So
right.
Do you think both ends of those perspective will help him bring this year? Yeah,
I think so. We finished 3rd his freshman year, went to Final Four. And then we said 2 years ago, two years ago, we finished 26th or 7th or 8th in the country. Now, a lot of programs be happy with that finish. We were not. He was not. We just mentioned it 10 minutes ago. It still chaps us a little bit. So I think that's been a motivating factor, and he's seen both sides of it. And I think that does. It puts it all in perspective. He's learned a lot from it. These kids learn a lot about life and teamwork and responsibility, accountability, like I said, and just, handling adversity and stress and expectations a lot. And college athletics is huge for a person's growth. And I think he's seen it all. And I think he's ready for the next level.
And then just one more real quick. Obviously, being through all those experiences and being one of the oldest guys on the team, what kind of leadership style does he have, and how does he help the younger guys out?
He's a lot like a lot of the players before him. Golf's an individual sport. The hardest thing I've had to do with players over the years is try to teach leadership, because they spend by themselves their whole life. You take individuals and you put them in a team sport, and they've never really been in a team sport a lot of times. They have in high school, but not at this competitive a level. So you have to really kind of teach leadership a little bit, a lot, and some gravitate to it more than others. But when they're young, they always think leadership is talking a lot, and just the more I yell, the more I talk, or them, the more they say something, that's leadership. And it's not. And they learn that over time. He's done a great job of learning that. Leading in college athletics and college golf is by example. Let your clubs do the talking. Let your golf ball do the talking. Don't, live it, breathe it. Your body language, your personality, your just the way you lead your life is important. And he's done a great job of that this year. He really has. He's he refuses to lose. He doesn't accept mediocrity, which our program does, and he's taken that. And he's kept people accountable through his actions, which I think is a sign of a good leader. And he's learned that. Now, most of our, I say most of them, a large percentage of them learn that. I think that's healthy for them the rest of their life too.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Gabby. John, I got you up next. Scott, if you have anything, I'll have you following up, John.
Hey, Mike, how you doing? Long time. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Good to see you, John.
Yeah. Hey, where do you consider your program at right now? What level is it at? You were, like you said, you were in Final Fours and championships. Where do you feel like you're at now overall?
In regards to other people, or in regards to our expectations?
Your own program. I mean, are you getting back to where you were a few years ago?
Well, that's always a tricky question with me, because where is where? I mean, what level is it? Every team's different. Every expectations, expectations don't change, but every level, every team's different. I think sometimes our success may have done some of our guys a disservice because of of trying to play harder and be there. And again, some players in a lot of programs in the college sports, players maybe just can't play to a certain level that programs want. I'm not saying that's us, but I'm saying but if they can't, the buck stops at somewhere else besides the players. The coaches have to understand that. So you don't really know that until they show up, though, John. You don't really know that, because I think every player that comes here can be an All-American, can win a Big Ten championship, but they all evolve at different places. So every year has to be its own year. So the only way I can answer that question is to wait till the end of the year to reflect on it. But right now, I think we have some good young players that aren't playing right now. Pearson Hunt was a top junior recruit. He's our alternate this week. Nico Lang is an unbelievable talent that's not playing this week. And we got some good freshmen coming in next year that I think are pretty good. Now, maybe other people maybe won't think that or whatever, but I think they're pretty good. So I think the program's in a good place. But you never know how their emotions are going to be next year, how their growth is going to be, how their confidence is going to be. I joke all the time that in basketball, if we recruit somebody that can jump 40 inches or 43 inches, they're going to jump it when they show up. If we recruit somebody that's putting really good the summer before they come, there is no guarantee they're going to be putting good the next year. It's just it's a sport where there's so many different levels to how they play. So I never know until they get on campus. But right now, I think we're in a good position with our recruits coming in, our young players on the sidelines. Now we lose two very competitive, very strong-minded seniors. But when you look at Adrian and Jerry and Tommy, there's some talent there. And I think we're good. But again, next year they come in, they could have a little trouble this summer. They could lose some confidence. They could get a swing flaw. They could go down the wrong path instruction-wise and take a step back. That's happened over the years to a lot of programs. You just never know until they show up next year. But right now, I think it's in a good place. And maybe my expectations, I want to win a national championship. And we've been an average, if our average probably end of the year ranking is in the top 5 or 10 for the last 10, 12 years. But some years, if you're 15th or 20th, that's not bad. That is not bad. We have overshot expectations for Northern Golf by light years we overshoot expectations for regular golf, college golf in general. So I don't want to set them too high, and I want to expect to have our kids expect too much, because 15 to 20 isn't bad, but we don't want it. But I can't set the bar so high all the time that it has a negative effect. I mean, does that make sense what I'm saying? Or am I talking in circles there? It's kind of a hard question. No, I'm talking to you, and I'm also talking to my team through this right here. And they may hear some of this stuff. So I'm trying to figure out, I believe in them, but you can't, if we're not 5 or top 10 in the country, is that a bad year for Illinois golf? It's not a bad year for any program, really, unless you're maybe Oklahoma State, who's been the best of all time. But for Illinois golf, top 25 may be good, but maybe it may not. It's a fluctuating year. I think I have good kids. I have really good players. I have good families. The atmosphere, the program itself is in a very, very, very good spot. Facilities, culture, work ethic. I mean, my assistant's new this year, and he can't believe how hard this team works. This way it's been done for 20 years. He sees college golf from the outside looking in, other programs, comes and sees ours, and he's like, man, this is unbelievable. This is fun to be around kids like this. Well, that's a standard for us. That's good. The results are hard to control. So if you're asking me a question, how is our program right now on results? It varies from month to month, semester to semester, but everything else, I think we're right where we need to be, and it's a solid program for many years, and I want to keep it going that way.
Hey, John, I think you're muted. Yep, there you go. Oh.
Sorry for that long-winded answer there.
No, you're good. Hey, Scott, I think you'll be our last one, unless anybody has anything really pressing to follow up on.
I ran him out of the room. I ran John out of the room. I talked too long.
That's why politicians like filibusters. Hey, congrats. And it sounds like maybe what you're saying is every year is measured in some ways against yourselves as
Right.
opposed to anything else. I'm curious what the dynamic of competition is going into this weekend, where you're playing a course and you're playing yourselves, but you have to be better than your competition. How does that work? Are you thinking about other teams? Are you trying to even watch what they're doing?
That's what makes golf so awesome and so cool. It happens slowly too. It happens slowly, yet when you're hitting the shot, it's very quick and dynamic and strong. But between shots, everything is entering you, the scoreboards, other teams, your emotions, your feelings, the golf course, the conditions, the expectations. You're exactly right, Scott. That's why you need to be so strong mentally and so in the moment and confident and relaxed, yet intense. It's weird. And if we get too much into our opponents, we don't play good. If we get too much into ourselves, we don't play good. We have a saying on our team: you need to put your energy out on the target. When we struggle, our energy is too much on ourselves. We're trying to figure things out. We're getting flustered. We're getting mad. We're trying to, we're in our own head. Your energy, I think, as a good golfer, is when you project it to your target, out into the thing, not on your opponent, not on your score at the end of the day, not on your score at the end of the round, but on the energy. All your energy, positive energy, has got to be where you want the ball to go, what you want to happen, not what you don't want to happen. Too many people go through life thinking so much about what they don't want to happen and forget to think about what they want to. And it's the same as golf. You got to think about what you want to happen. And in this program, like I said earlier, if all those things that are lined up right, of culture, the facilities, the players, the personalities, the people, the families, they're all good. If we take that energy and put it where we want to have things happen and put our energy out on positive things, the chances of success go way up. But you're never guaranteed, because a guy could bounce a ball off a tree and beat you by one. I mean, he could hit a perfect shot, the wind could hit it, bury it in a bunker. I mean, it's just the most inexact sport in the world. There's just no rhyme or reason. It is just one big mind game. And that's why you can only control what you control and take your energy on what you want to happen. So that's what we try to get our guys to do, is just to control their space, we call it.
So does anything change from day one to day two to day three? If you look at your positioning, or individuals are looking at their positioning and more aggressive or less aggressive shots, all that kind of stuff?
Yes, you have to take these situations, you take what's out there, and then some days you have to play more aggressive than others. But I believe in golf, in college golf, if you're down or you're up, you still play your game, okay? You hit your standard, you play golf the way it's designed to be played. And in golf, more players win major championships. We saw it this weekend, really. A lot. Tiger made a career of this. In golf, you win more championships by other people losing than you do winning. Sure, there's been guys who go on and win by 8 and 10 shots and just blister the field. But if you look at the history of the game, golf, you normally win more by other people losing than you winning. So you hit your standard, you hit solid. You don't let everything else negatively affect you and cause you to destruct. If we're 5 down next week or 5 up, we need to hit the strong sides of pins when it calls for, knock down pins when the shot calls for it, play more aggressive when it calls, play more conservative when it calls, and do that, than it is changing your game plan. Does that make sense? Now, we know where the teams are. We know that somebody's running away with it, okay? You really understand it, but you can't let that get in your head and change your game plan. All of a sudden, you start hitting at pins, and all of a sudden, you start falling more behind. That happens so much in golf if you follow the sport. You just gotta be true to yourself, and then understand that sometimes you have to take it up a little bit. Your intensity, your focus. Sometimes if you're down. Last round of the Big Ten Championship this year, we were down and out. We were a slow progression to nowhere, and all of a sudden, but we had to spread the word. Guys, timeout. In basketball, you call timeout. They call stop momentum, stop it. Guys, come on, let's reboot. Well, in golf, we have to do that, but I can't call a timeout. I have to go around and tell everybody, okay, this is basketball. We're calling a timeout now. Slap your head together, wake up. You know what I mean? It's time to do that. And so that's what you do. We do that. We don't say try harder. We don't say, hey, start knocking down pins or hit driver the next hole, because the correct shot's the correct shot in golf. You don't want to get out. You don't want to let your opponents get you out of your realm or what you're supposed to do. And you don't let the course get you out of your realm. The correct shot's the correct shot. The only way is you got to approach it the correct way.
Very good. Hey, good luck.
All right, thanks everybody. Coach, hey, thanks for staying on a few extra minutes with us. Guys, we'll reset here, and I'll get Michael Fiegels on.
That's great to see everybody here. Thanks for showing up, guys. I appreciate that. Thanks for the coverage.
Thanks, Mike.